following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. Welcome into this Tuesday edition of Main Street Sports. Today on Main Street Media, we will welcome the voice of the Blue Raiders, Chip Walters, plus the Athletics, Joe REXRODE. That is the website, Athletic, possessive, not from the Oakland Athletics. We'll be talking NCAA tournament, both men's and women's, plus VANDY has a new logo. And Top 5 Tuesday on this edition of Main Street Sports Today. It's March 22nd, 2022. We spring on now with the Hall of Famer Mo Patton and the Sundrop Kid from Alabama. Here's Chris Yao.
What's going on? Hope you guys are having a phenomenal start to your Tuesday as the workday is winding down. Lots of great stuff going on in the world of sports and sports information and logos. Oh, man. I'm excited to talk about this today. It's going to be a great day. We got a lot to get to. Chip Walters ahead of MTSU's CBI semifinal game tonight will join us here momentarily. We'll talk plenty of women's hoops from last night. UT Belmont, MTSU, Vandy. 3 out of 4 get a win. Of course, the other one was playing one of those 3 who got the win. So, unfortunately, one was bound to lose. We'll get into all that and Top 5 Tuesday. What ifs in sports? What if this happened? What in the world would our lives be like? But we have a lot going on, so I want to get to it. Mo, how are you? How are things?
It's Tuesday. I'm good.
Tuesday is the start of our week. So it's
our week never stops. Really.
The start of our next week.
Yeah, I guess.
We don't have weekends. Tuesday is the closest thing we have to a
start of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we get a lot into it here, but before we get to anything else, we're going to send it to JP for results and schedules on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Let's do it.
This is your Tuesday rundown brought to you by Jim Davis at Grow Live Give. Visit them at growlivegive.com or give them a call at 615-682-0022. Securities offered through IFP Securities, LLC, DBA Independent Financial Partners, IFP member, FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through IFP Advisors, LLC, DBA Independent Financial Partners, Registered Investment Advisor. IFP and Grow Live Give are not affiliated. All right, let's get to it. High school baseball from yesterday. It was Stewart's Creek over Blackman 4-3. Lawrence County shut out Summertown 5-0. Riverdale over Oakland 2-1. Spring Hill down Huntsville from Alabama 7-2. Zion Christian over Collinwood 7-4. Murfreesboro Central fell to Eagleville 6-3. Culleoka down to Fayetteville 9-3. Gallatin over Friendship Christian 3-2. Mount Pleasant hung 24 on Hampshire. Lebanon 9-8 winners over Cookeville. Richland shut out versus Community Station Camp 3-2 winners over Friendship Christian. It was Sycamore 1, Fairview Niet. It was Summit 3, Brentwood 1. It was Franklin 12, Columbia Central 1. Independence 18-0 over Marshall County. Centennial 5-3 over Nolensville. Waverly fell to Creekwood 6-0. It was Clarksville down by McCracken County from Kentucky 5-1. Page over Dixon 10-2, and Clarksville Academy 14-0 over Springfield FRA down to Columbia Academy 3-2. High school softball from Monday. Columbia Academy shutting out Coffee County 3-0. Rockville 8-4 over Blackman. Friendship Christian 23, Laverne 2, Oakland 15-5 over Riverdale. Zion Christian 13-2 over Spring Hill. Moore County 11-4 over Culleoka. Eagleville 7-6 over Siegel. Lebanon fell to Gallatin 7-5. Loretta 3-2 winners over Wayne County. Richland 8-1 over Mount Pleasant. It was Station Camp 14-1 over East Robertson. Summertown 7-2 winners over Forest. Smyrna 17-5 over Brentwood. Shelbyville fell to Columbia Central 6-2. Fairview 11-9 over McEwen. Waverly 13-0 over Northeast. It was Ravenwood 9, Lipscomb Academy 0, and Nashville Christian shutting out Ezel Harding 10-0. On the pitch, boys soccer for Monday. Columbia Central 3-0 over Coffee County. Zion Christian 3-2 over Hickman County. Lawrence County fell to Loretto 2-1, and CPA over Page 2-1. NAIA baseball, Cumberland 16-6 over Faulkner. NCAA men's basketball at the CBI tournament. It is MTSU big over Boston U 76-46, and shut up the Terriers. It was NCAA women's basketball over the weekend. Tennessee, actually last night, 70-67 over Belmont. A tight one in Knoxville, but the Lady Vols moved to the Sweet 16. MTSU in the WNIT over Wake Forest, 67-55. Vanderbilt also in the WNIT, 71-45 winners over Liberty. It was the Preds 6-3 over the Anaheim Ducks, as they are still out on the left coast. Another game we'll find out here in just a moment. Our schedule for today: high school baseball, Collinwood and Zion Christian Community in Richland, Cheatham County versus Joe Burns. Riverdale and Oakland will play today. Rockville at Siegel. Stewart's Creek hosts Blackman. Smyrna travels to Tullahoma. Culleoka welcomes Fayetteville. Lipscomb Academy is at Hendersonville. Hillwood and Overton will play. Lawrence County travels south to Loretto. MLK will welcome Tennessee. Heat Hampshire just up the road at Mount Pleasant. Eagleville versus Murfreesboro Central. Clarksville travels to Station Camp. White House welcomes Springfield. Nolansville will be at Centennial today. Marshall County across the county line to Columbia Central. Brentwood at Summit. East Robertson and Northeast. Northwest hosts West Creek. Brentwood Academy at CPA today. Father Ryan hosts Pope Prep. Grace Christian at BGA. Middle Tennessee the Middle Tennessee Monarchs are at DCA. MTCS at Providence Christian. High school softball today. Loretto takes on Lauderdale County, Alabama, as they head across the state line. Westmoreland at Smith County. Stewart's Creek will be at Blackman today. Cascade hosts Siegel. Lawrence County welcomes Giles County in the softball version of the Cowbell. Mount Pleasant at Cornersville today. Fayetteville versus Eagleville. Beach at Gallatin. Station Camp at Hendersonville. Mount Juliet will host Columbia Central. Community travels to Murfreesboro Central. Santa Fe welcomes Perry County. It is Culleoka at Wayne County today. VGA at Independence. Summit hosts Franklin. Henry County at Clarksville. MTCS at Columbia Academy. And Davidson Academy is at Ezel Harding. Busy day on the pitch in boys soccer today. Agathos Classical at Zion Christian. Friendship Christian hosts Watertown. McGavick at East Robertson. Northeast at Laverne. White House Heritage at Merrill Hyde. It is Siegel at Oakland. Rockvale at Riverdale. Cheatham County hosts West Creek. Hickman County at Culleoka. Lebanon at Gallatin. Giles County will host Richland today in an in-county battle. Ravenwood at Independence. Tullahoma at Murfreesboro Central. Nolansville will travel to Spring Hill. Father Ryan welcomes Hendersonville. Summit at Lipscomb Academy. And Fairview is at Nashville Christian. College baseball today. Belmont and Vanderbilt scheduled for a noon first pitch. Weather pending. Lipscomb at Louisville today, 3 on ESPN+. Butler is at Tennessee. Elsewhere, it is Vanderbilt at Xavier in men's basketball. That is tonight in the NIT. I believe that's the round of 8. They are at that point. And the winner goes to New York in the Final Four, I believe. And then the Preds still out west taking on the Kings. That is your Tuesday rundown, brought to you by Jim Davis and GrowLiveGive.com.
Thank you, JP. Appreciate that. A lot of information there in a short period of time. So
short-ish.
Well, or maybe not so short, actually. But
time is relative, Mo.
There you go. Top story today: opening kickoff.
The opening kick.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
we knew this yesterday. We just didn't really have an opportunity to address it, and we probably won't have an opportunity to address it to the degree that it deserves. But the University of Tennessee and Josh Heupel pulled down a 5-star recruit at the signal caller position. Nico, and while if you read his name, it doesn't look very promising in terms of a commitment. But Nico Iamalieva is Iamalieva, not Iamalieva.
I still think that's a phenomenal way to pronounce it.
Yeah, well, not if you're a UT fan,
No,
because that's
we don't
not
want you to
what
be
you
a Leva.
want.
We want you to be a stay-up.
I am a stay-up. Yeah. Nico commits to the University of Tennessee.
It's going to be just like Tua, right? I was just going to be.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's a first name only.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine how badly torn up that kid's name was in Alabama.
He also Nico wears number 8, so I guess it's called Nico Ocho, like Kendo Cinco. Just keep going.
Like Chad Ochocinco.
Yeah, exactly.
Nico Ocho. That will likely catch
that
on.
Will stick.
And that will probably be a part of
his Spire.
The NIL deal. Yeah. That's catching a lot of attention.
Yeah. Well, hopefully later this week we'll be able to dive into Nico's commitment and maybe the reason why he committed. There's a lot going on with that. So anyway, let's talk to Chip Walters. What do you say?
Let's do. When we come back here on Main Street Sports today, we will be speaking with Columbia native, voice of the Blue Raiders, Chip Walters, as he continues to post up on Daytona Beach at the CBI tournament, where the Blue Raiders will be in action later tonight. So come back with us on the other side of this break. This is Main Street Sports Today.
Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Welcome back in to Main Street Sports today. It is Top 5 Tuesday. Top 5 what ifs in sports coming your way in the final segment, so make sure to stick around for that. Speaking of top 5s, how about top 4s? That's where the Middle Tennessee State Blue Raiders are in the CBI as the semifinals get ready for I guess they're tipping off tonight, so that should be a good one. I think it's either 8 Eastern or well, I'll tell you who we can ask. Who will know? Chip Walters joins us now on the on the show. Chip, what's going on, man?
Not much. I hope our connection is better this time with palm trees in my background than it was the last time. that had palm trees in the background, which was in the Bahamas. But games are at 6 and 8 Central Time tonight, 7 and 9 Eastern Time here in Daytona.
And you all play the late game, is that right?
Play the late game. Middle and Abilene Christian. Abilene Christian, who made a run a year ago in the NCAA tournament with Joe Golding as their head coach, who then took the UTEP job, and Middle has had to face Joe a couple of times. But this Abilene Christian team, they are one of the better defensive teams that Middle will have faced all season long, and they really kind of muck the game up, get things chaotic. Their big thing is they do everything they can to try to turn you over, get steals, things like that. They gave up the fewest shot attempts of any Division I school this season, simply because they figure if you don't get shots, you can't score. So that's been their MO. But they beat Ohio U yesterday. They knocked off Troy in the first round on Sunday. And so here we are in the semifinals. And interestingly enough, Middle of the four teams left, Middle is the only one who played on Saturday. The other three were teams that played on Sunday. So you hope somewhere along the line here, like maybe tonight, that day of rest will come back to help you.
I do want to point out, Chip, it was not lost that you mentioned you're being in front of palm trees. As we are already having baseball games canceled this afternoon for anticipated inclement weather. So yeah, we are digging you hanging out with palm trees today.
That's right. Well, Middle's baseball game at Austin P was they canceled it late last night for the same reason. And the Blue Raiders will be heading to UAB this coming weekend for the second conference weekend.
Yeah, I wonder if they're playing at regions or if they'll be at their normal on-campus park.
They've actually had some weekends where they split it up and they played one game at regions and two on campus, that kind of thing. To be honest, I hadn't had a chance to look it up just yet, but it's nice to have three sports still going. You got with women's basketball, huge game coming up Thursday night with Vandy at home. I expect a big crowd at Murphy Center, and the Blue Raider men trying to win a national postseason tournament for the first time ever in school history.
Those will be at Young Memorial Field.
They certainly left no doubt last night, Chip, with that 76-46 win over the Terriers.
I had an expectation that Middle would play well and win, but I tell you, I promise you, I never saw that coming. Just a really good Middle used their quickness and athleticism to get that victory. The Blue Raiders are the highest seeded team left here after Duquesne, who came in as the number one, got upset. Tonight will be a very interesting matchup. Middle's been pretty good offensively all year, and they've kind of gotten past the Josh Jefferson injury in that it doesn't seem like they're looking over their shoulder waiting for Josh to come in the game, and have found their way again. And I'll tell you, the key to these tournaments, the secondary tournaments, including the NIT, is the mindset of your guys and gals on the women's side wanting to be in these things and wanting to continue their season. And, coming down here after an emotional 3 overtime loss to UAB, I was concerned, how are they going to react? And I tell you, for the first 5 minutes against Cal Baptist the other day, I wasn't so sure that they wanted to be here. Well, something happened and somebody kicked something in, and for the rest of the next 35 minutes, they certainly had that look. And then yesterday, there was a lot of juice with that group yesterday. So I think now, now that you've won 2 games in this, it's like, okay, why not us? Why not go ahead and win this thing? Because the way that this thing is set up, you play semifinals tonight, finals tomorrow. You're just over 24 hours away from possibly taking a trophy home in a postseason tournament, and I think everybody has kind of focused on that.
Speaking with Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raiders here on Main Street Sports today. Chip is on location in Daytona Beach, Florida, as MTSU's men will play in the semifinals of the CBI tournament against Abilene Christian. And Chip, over the last little bit, looks like DeAndre Dishman has maybe introduced himself to some of his teammates.
Well, I'll tell you, and it's interesting when, DeAndre could come back next year. Not sure if he will. He did go through senior day, but he's technically a redshirt junior.
So you're saying he could pull a John Fulkerson, huh?
Yeah, he could be a 7th-year senior next year, due to medical issues and things like that. But he, you get guys. I mean, Fulkerson's a great, a great example. Dish is a really good example of guys. Not only can you see that 24 hours away of winning a title, your career could be coming to a close at any moment now, and you want to make the best of it. Well, he kind of picked this team up, going back to when Josh got injured. Somebody had to step up, and while Middle didn't win either game at Charlotte or Old Dominion, they played well enough to win both of those games. And Dish kind of started putting the team on his back, had a great Conference USA tournament. He was named all tournament and has continued that tear that he's been on. And it's not just scoring, although he did have 25 against UAB. I mean, he has rebounded extremely well. And the way that Middle runs their offense, it comes through the high post. And he is such a good passer and such a smart player. I mean, what was it last night? He led them in scoring, rebounding, and assist. So he is a triple threat player, and his basketball IQ is just off the charts. And he is a guy that just makes your team better being on the floor.
Yeah, when you talk about this team and the experience that they have, this is a really, it's an experienced team, and hopefully you take this year and you bring back some momentum out of a tournament like this. Even if it is the CBI, you still take momentum from this into next year, right?
Oh, absolutely. And Coach McDevitt says this is a twofold trip. Number one, you want to come down here and play to win this tournament, but for young guys like, T. Leonard, who was an all freshman in the league, to get additional practices and additional games with those young guys. Yeah, it's exactly like that. And they can only use that experience to get better. And while you do talk about this being a team that has some age on it, it is also a team that's very young, and they're playing all 9 guys that are available. They were playing 10 before Josh Jefferson got hurt. And it's and they're playing starters about 23 to 25 minutes, and your backups are playing 15 to 17, 18 minutes. So that is the big thing that they have brought to the table during this tournament, having, those guys that when you bring them off the bench, whether it's Christian Fussell or whoever it might be, that you're not going to have a drop off. And, it seems like 9 times out of the last 10, our top plus minus guy off the bench has come from the bench, whether it's Cam Weston or whoever it might be. But they have done a really good job of developing this group to have quality depth, and that's been something they've hung their hat on through all of this.
Chip, we need to get you out of here, but before we do, obviously MTSU women with a big 67-55 win last night over Wake Forest, advancing in the WNIT. They will face visiting Vanderbilt Thursday night at Murphy Center. Huge win, huge matchup.
Absolutely. Big win over Wake Forest. And it'll be the second time this year that Vanderbilt will have come to Murphy Center to take on the Lady Raiders. And I saw Shay Ralph had a comment that they're excited about the matchup and that they're a different team, and they are. They're playing really well right now, and Middle's playing at its very best right now. So if you like women's basketball, and we've seen some incredible stuff in the NCAA and also in the NIT, it's going to be a good one, and you know, a kind of a backyard brawl. I saw the MTSU ticket office put something out on Twitter, how excited they were of all the overnight ticket purchases that were done online overnight. And if folks want to go, it's all general admission. Go to goblueraiders.com/tickets. And I'm not sure, it's either, they were $10. These may be $15 for this round, but it's going to be a great atmosphere for a 6:30 tip on Thursday night. And you know, it's going to be very exciting. Middle is, you know, they came through and have gotten nice wins. The Wofford win, they won by 30 in the first round, came back, had a 27-point lead, or 22 or 27-point lead last night. Rick Ensel's got those ladies playing at their peak at this point, and that's what you want to do, no matter what tournament you're in. And sometimes, you know, whether it's anything other than the NCAA, sometimes gets poo-pooed a little bit. I promise you that these events and these tournaments mean a great deal to the teams and the schools that are playing in them.
Chip Walters at Choose Chip on Twitter. He will be on the call tonight. Again, it is ESPN2, 8 o'clock. If you want to watch it, or you can listen on the Varsity app to Chip. The Raiders, a 1.5-point favorite over the Christian Wildcats of Abilene. Abilene, the prettiest town I ever seen. Chip, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you, boys. Y'all have a great night.
When we come back, we'll talk more about those Lady Raiders and Vanderbilt and Tennessee and Belmont, and about a potential exciting, fun thing we could do in this state for women's basketball. So come back right here on Main Street Sports Today. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org, or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Welcome back into Main Street Sports today here on the Main Street Network. Mo, this is not what this segment's supposed to be about, but I mean, might as well mention it, get it out of here. We'll talk about it later, probably later this week, not today. But since you are wearing your Braves garb, want to mention that the Braves agreed to 2022 non-guaranteed contracts with Sean Newcomb for $900,000, AJ Minter for $2.2 million, and Tyler Matzik for $1.4 million. Now, two of those are definitely guaranteed. I don't care what the Braves say. So I'm a little surprised that AJ's at 2.2 and Matzik's at 1.4, though.
I'm a little surprised Sean Newcomb is on the roster. I'd forgotten about him.
Hey, non-guaranteed. Sometimes you got to have that long relief guy, though. Somebody's got to come in and throw from the third to the seventh or eighth.
Hopefully not very often, but anyway, that guy is just a really, really tantalizing talent, which means that you haven't lived up to it. So it's going to be a big year for him in Atlanta, I think. Either he proves himself to be worthy of being there or he winds up getting traded or released. So
we'll see. Anyway,
yeah,
I want to talk about women's hoops because last night was a big night in the state. Belmont had a fantastic crowd on hand at Thompson Bowling Arena. And in the first half, that crowd got quieted pretty quick, but it didn't take long in the third quarter for the Bruins to fight back and eventually take a lead in the fourth quarter over the Tennessee Lady Vols. But just call her Puckett Buckets because Sarah Puckett with a 17 seconds to go, gives the Lady Vols the lead and eventually the win. What a phenomenal game it was, though. It was worth the time it took to watch it for sure.
It was a phenomenal game, and if you're a Lady Vols fan, that's probably not a good thing.
No, it certainly a lot more.
You could have done with a little less phenomenal, I think. But I mean, kudos to Bart Brooks and that Belmont team, that Belmont program. They are dangerous. They won as a 12 seed last year, and they did it again this time around and almost got through to the Sweet 16. And I'm sure Kelly Harper is telling her team, or did tell her team last night, you guys dodged a bullet. And now her coach was the first one that I heard say survive in advance. And, there aren't any style points at this point in the year. You get it done and you move on. But UT can't continue to play the way they played last night
in the second half.
and continue to move on.
They played well in the first half. I mean, obviously took a 13-point lead to the break, but a lot of that had to do with, Belmont just wasn't shooting well.
Well, Belmont wasn't shooting well, and I felt like UT was taking advantage of the mismatches that it had, specifically Tamari Key and Ray Burrell. Well, Key gets in foul trouble because that's what Key does.
Mm-hmm.
They turn the ball over because that's what they do. And those two factors are going to get them beat at some point.
Oh, yeah, there's no question. I mean,
when they
lose,
lose, that will be why.
This team is not going to win a national championship. No. We all know that. Now,
it's just a question of when they lose.
If they had some of the players that they had at the beginning of the year,
Jordan Horston cures a lot of ills.
Specifically her.
Yeah, but still, she still can't keep Key out of foul trouble, and she still can't minimize all those turnovers.
Well, she could probably minimize some of the turnovers, but that's neither here nor there. What I thought was impressive last night for Tennessee and Tamari Key in general was playing through that, because Belmont did a phenomenal job of adjusting to what Tennessee was doing in taking advantage of those mismatches. They were able to double faster in the second half on key and kind of took her out of the game. And then on defense or, on offense, they went right at her.
Mm-hmm.
And it helped her break the career blocks record eventually as she took over Candace Parker's career blocks record. But I thought it was a really good job by Belmont to force her to make a decision on whether to try to block shots and maybe getting fouled out, or and then they connected at the goal. They were able to hit those shots underneath. So well done.
They put her in a high risk, high reward type situation. I can block this, or I can be late and get a foul, and it worked out for them. And that 11-1 run that they went on, like you said, in the third quarter to get back in that thing was, it was quick, kind of like they are. And I don't know who they lose or who they bring back, but they've done a great job. Brooks has, and there was some fodder on Twitter after the game, obviously, about where's he going to be next? How do they hold on to him? Blah, blah, blah. And that'll be interesting, because when you're at a mid-major, and we've talked about it, we've seen it on the men's side here over the last few days, all of those coaching openings in the SEC are now filled, by the way. But do you jump? Do you try to come back and reprise this? If you're Bart Brooks, how long do you stay?
New conference, got a lot that go into that. I mean, you just never know. I will be interested to see. We've always talked about you can stay too long, you can stay long enough to be the villain.
Right.
But you can also be, the hero. You can be the one they build a statue for outside the arena because you stayed forever and went to a Sweet 16 here and there.
I.e., the men's counterpart at
exactly.
Belmont.
So, I mean, that's kind of the way you have to weigh those things. What do you really want to do? So, Middle Tennessee State and Vanderbilt both win, as we mentioned earlier. They will play Thursday night at the Glass House at Murphy Center. Being in a postseason tournament with a losing record is unusual, but I think that just speaks to how well Shea Ralph was able to transform this team over the year, and the way they finished, the way they're playing right now, they look really good. So Middle's going to have to watch out.
Yeah, and I think this Vanderbilt team was a little bit motivated by their final game in the SEC tournament as well, because they felt like a couple of calls went against them. They kind of cost them that win against Florida. They had a chance to go deeper, but like you said, they've been playing well here down the stretch of the regular season, in the SEC tournament, and in this women's NIT. And it is a different Vanderbilt team that will be going to Murfreesboro here in a couple of days. So MTSU's got to be careful, I think. But they're playing awfully well right now as well.
These four teams playing the way they're playing against each other in postseason play. Is there an opportunity to get 6 or 8 teams to play a single day classic at Thompson Bowling Arena, where each year maybe it rotates who it is, and then Tennessee plays the nightcap against a different in-state team? A lot of these schools, UTC, Tech, obviously MTSU, Belmont, Martin, they're recruiting players who probably aren't quite good enough to play consistently at Tennessee, but they grow up UT fans, and getting a chance to play on that court would be really cool, whether it's against Tennessee or it's not against Tennessee, whatever. But wouldn't it be neat to have something like that where it's just all day? You start at 10 o'clock in the morning, and you've got 4 basketball games, 4 women's basketball games. It's a way to build, support for women's basketball across the state of Tennessee.
That's an interesting concept, because initially when I saw it, I'm thinking, why TBA? But that makes sense. And also, it might be something you could do in conjunction with the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, which is in Knoxville as well. So, I mean, there's it's an interesting concept. You should talk to somebody about that.
Take that one on, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it would
The
be.
Chris Yao Women's Basketball Hall of Fame Classic at TBA.
Can we just call it the Yao Classic?
The
That
Yao
way,
Classic.
that way people can get confused with K.
There you go. Yeah.
They can just pretend.
Gives it a little bit more credibility.
There's already one Yao on the
It
court.
certainly does.
Yeah.
There's a little more credibility if it's just Yao.
Yeah.
Oh man. Hey, it's halftime and we need to take a quick break because I want to tell you about these pants I got. They're nice. I love them. And when you hear this story, well, it's a hot one. We'll be back after this on Main Street Sports Today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Welcome back in. It is halftime here on Main Street Sports Today. So let me tell you, I got these. I don't even know what they are. Like, I'm not sure. They kind of feel like windbreaker style. They're kind of golf dry. They're not really dry fit. I guess so.
Moisture wicking.
They are moisture resistant, I think, is kind of the idea behind them.
Wicking.
I have a pair of khaki ones who our friend Pernell Knox was in love with. He said, every time I'd wear them, man, I wish you could tell me where you got those pants. Well, I got them at TJ Maxx or something, so you couldn't just go get them.
So what do you do when another man says he really likes your pants?
You know what I do? I go, they have pockets.
There you go.
Like every girl does with the dresses. I mean, it's got pockets.
Got pockets.
Anyway, so I found a rack of these at Belk in Cool Springs, and they had like gray, black, navy, and one other color. I don't remember. And so I picked up the navy pair because I got khakis. I don't need khaki. Oh, the khaki. That was the other color.
Yeah. Okay.
Didn't need
Maybe you
khakis.
should have grabbed them for Purnell.
So I texted Purnell.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey man, remember those pants?
What size pants you wear?
They're 24.
Coach Cox.
They're like $24 each, on sale right now." And but he didn't get back to me until I was in the checkout line. Well, when I get in the checkout line, I start hearing, "Brr, brr."
Is that your phone vibrating?
No, it's the fire alarm inside Belk Men's Store at Cool Springs, and the fire retardant
substance.
No, the like not the gate, but like it's a fire retardant, just curtain basically that drops in that goes into the store or into the rest of the mall. They're telling us to get out. They evacuate the entire building. And so I was able to get the pants, but when he finally got, he was like, "Man, they got 40." I was like, "Dude, they just evacuated all of us. I don't think they're going to be open anymore. So I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry."
Mo, that's a new spin on the dog ate my homework excuse.
It's definitely different.
I was in the checkout line with your pants
when the fire alarm.
But the fire alarm went off.
Yeah,
I had to evacuate.
What was so crazy is when the curtain dropped, it hit a display and broke.
Shattered a mannequin.
It was crazy.
Oh, we lost a mannequin yesterday. Oh no.
Oh, it was hilarious. So it was anyway.
File this under stuff that only happens to Chris.
Thoughts and prayers with that mannequin
clearly
and his or her family.
Oh,
That mannequin's got a family.
Yes.
real
Yeah,
quick,
they come in packs, Mo. Don't you know this?
when we this would not be anything we would care about except for, he shares a name with our county. Maury Povich.
Mari, yes.
Maury Povich.
Not Murray. Not Murray Povich.
Is out. He is ending his talk show, and I'm just trying to figure out if the lie detector will determine that is a lie or the truth.
Did they find all the baby daddies, I guess?
I guess
He ran out
there
of baby
are
daddies.
no more baby daddies to find. And
Yep.
so Maury said, I got to go. It's time.
I always said when I run out of baby daddies, it's time to
I
go.
don't know it's time to go.
It's time to go.
I didn't realize it was still on.
I didn't either. I had no idea the show was still going. So the fact that, anyway, let's take this break, come back. We'll talk about Vanderbilt making, a choice. And Marin Angus, Vanderbilt softball undefeated since 1873. Time for a new era. Y'all come back with us on the second half. Main Street Sports Today returns.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Second half action on Main Street Sports Today for this Tuesday. Coming up, we'll be joined by Joe Rexrode with The Athletic, also 102.5 The Game out of Nashville. Talk a little college hoops and other topics, I'm sure. Top 5 Tuesday, and right now we'll be talking about a new logo for Vanderbilt. All right, just wait and see. We'll talk about it. Back to the Hall of Famer, Mo Patton, and the Sun Drop Kid from Alabama, who has new pants, Chris Yao.
Chris Yao has new pants. Pernell Knox does not.
Pernell Knox does not.
It's funny. He was like, I wear a 40, but I typically have to get a 42 to get them right in the length. I was like, because these are these do not have a length. They come in one length apparently. It's just like shorts. When you get shorts, they only tell you the waist size. This is the weirdest thing.
So, Chris, did you plant somebody to pull the fire alarm at the right time?
Did not.
So you would not have to get those pants?
Man, I would never do that to Mr. Cox, ever.
Okay. Does he know that?
I mean, yeah, I think he does. Let's speaking of new athletic wear and whatnot, Vanderbilt's going to be getting plenty of it. I wanted to show this picture because Vanderbilt has released a new logo. Let's start there. All right. And JP is obviously going to be a big part of this conversation because he's the Vandy guy. But I wanted to show you this, Mo, because you can't see it otherwise. This picture of Jerry Stackhouse that he tweeted.
No, I can't see it otherwise. You're
with
right.
this new hat. And I like the hat. The hat is cool. I'm a fan of the black hat with the black V and the gold outline. I'm cool with that.
You could do that with a lot of V's, though, other than the one they've chosen.
But JP, do you have the logo up? Uh-oh.
Yes, it is. It is up on. I've got the website.
The website. Okay, the brand website.
The brand website, and I'm going to scroll through.
So let's just talk about them in order here.
Okay.
The first logo that you see.
Yep.
Is let me just pull up the brand website because that's going to be easier for everybody.
What website are you on? Where
We are looking at
Vanderbilt. It's brand.vanderbilt.edu and then
brand
/athletics. There's an athletics tab you can
Brand.
click on.
Vanderbilt.
.edu.
correct.
Mhm.
And so-
/athletics.
Yes.
Correct.
Which the new logo, obviously, every new logo in the history of time has drawn nothing but disgustedness from the general public. Have you ever seen anybody release a new logo and everybody's like, "Oh, this
Hey,
is great,
that's
yeah,
killer."
woo."
Yeah.
It never happens.
No.
Has never happened in the history of logos.
People don't like change.
They really don't.
They don't.
Um,
That
As a general rule.
said,
that said, I will agree that there are some problems with this. Most notably, getting rid of the Star V. Now,
now
there is a version
Mhm.
of the Star V, and I personally find it very nice.
I don't hate it.
Get to that, right?
We will.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, so we're at the top, right?
Yes.
So the first thing you see are the 4 just squatty V's that look like a Villanova and Virginia.
More
Mashup.
Villanova.
Well, it's exactly Virginia, except that they cut the bottom off, because Virginia does a point V at the bottom. And this all it, I mean, the top is identical to Virginia, including the little acorn looking thing, ballpoint pen teardrop in the middle. So
I had noticed that too. You mentioned that. Yeah.
the
When
little
you-
teardrop
Yep.
or whatever it is, I have no idea what to call that. But nonetheless, that's what you see.
I think the Virginia V is sharper than the Vanderbilt V.
Well, at
oh,
the
they are the
bottom it is.
Cavaliers. Yeah.
Well, Cavalier, Commodore, kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Cavaliers.
One is on
Typically
land,
more
one
swords,
is,
yeah.
one is on
Yeah.
the ship.
Right.
But I will say overall, I do not like the change, except that it is exactly what they wanted. What they wanted to do was unite the academic side
Mhm.
with the athletic side. I don't necessarily agree with it, but if you're going to do that, this V is good enough for both, I guess, but it's not great for either. If that makes sense.
On its own.
Right.
Now, we are on the athletics page. This V, and I'm going to get you to the university logos, and I'm scrolling those now. The V looks really good with the Vanderbilt University off to the side or underneath it. And that's kind of the university side of it. So the V pairs well with that. And I think there is a nice compromise as a secondary, which we will get to in just a little bit for the athletics.
Now, on the football helmet, have we got to that yet?
Let me get back to athletics.
On the football helmet, it doesn't look bad. I still like the Star V better, but it doesn't look bad. Okay.
And there's, by the way, what we're seeing now, as I scroll to that helmet, the V with what I showed you a moment ago was Vanderbilt University. Now Vanderbilt Commodores with that V on top, and
Correct.
and that's a decent look. And now we get to the football helmet and the football.
I don't know what the football. Why is there a football?
Yeah, I don't know.
They're not going to play with that football, are they?
No.
I mean, they
don't think
could
so.
because no one would care.
Oh,
If they did play with it, would anyone notice? That's the real question.
man.
Anyway, the part that I want to get to is the Star V, the new Star V.
Okay.
Why would you not just make this your primary athletics logo?
We're gonna scroll on down to that, huh? There we go. Bypass the cap.
The cap looks good.
Yeah, here's the Star V.
I like the cap. But the star, if you were an institution of higher education with a Power 5 program, would you not want to at least somehow separate your academics and your athletics? And a simple, small change like these 5 V's that are in the shape of a star, does that not make sense?
I get the feeling, and it's just a hunch. The fact that they added the Star V into this, and as a secondary logo, it's secondary as a whole. I think a majority of the teams will continue to use the Star V, and I do like this new adaptation. It is sleeker. It's more modern. You and I talked about that beforehand. It makes the V more prominent with that new font, yet still maintains the star as an accent. I like the hangover. I really, really like this new Star V logo, and I hope the athletic teams will continue to use that. And in terms of football helmets, they had 5 or 6 different variations anyway. So certainly this will be one of them. And as time goes on, if the players like it, the fans like it, it's what they'll go with. But that V is the thing that is tying the entire university community together. And so I can see why they're doing this and how that
Better than the oak leaf.
I don't mind the oak leaf, but I like this.
But that's not what you're going to get.
Yeah,
you're getting away from the oak leaf, going
uh-huh.
to this V. This is our V throughout the
Mhm.
entire university. But when you add the star in, now you're talking Commodores. You're not
Mhm.
talking medical,
Yeah.
hospital, or whatever.
Yep.
You're talking about the Commodores because there's a star.
Yep.
That makes sense to me.
Mhm.
But here the difference in this Star V and the other one is the old star was the star.
Mhm.
In this, the V is the star.
Pun
Right.
intended. Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly it. I think they shrunk. Let's say the letter is the same. They shrunk the star, and the V is more prominent, as you mentioned, because that is the linking tie, the linking logo to the university as a whole. So you bring that forward to where it is in the forefront, and that's where they are. I like it. Again, I'm very pleased with it.
Do you think it could have been better introduced?
Yeah.
Is that the problem that we're seeing here?
I-
Is that Vanderbilt fans are upset with, we didn't know this was coming, and you're completely taking our identity away as an athletic program?
Yeah, Vanderbilt is a walking public relations nightmare. So, I mean, figure out the worst way to handle something, and that's going to be closer to how it's handled at Vanderbilt than anything else. I mean, that just is what it is.
The last image that I scrolled down to the bottom here is of a makeshift flag, a black flag with
I love that flag.
with the Star V in gold bordering. It's a black Star V with the gold trim on a black flag. It's a sharp look. It's simple. I like it.
I will say this: the basketball court that somebody mentioned, the basketball court was just redone. They just redid it. So, and they did say
The football locker room was just redone.
They did say that athletics facilities would be upgraded over time and updated. Baseball has turf, which I don't think the Star V is anywhere on the field. I think they have Vandy in the back. I don't know that, or it's just the V. I don't think they have the Star V anywhere on the turf, but I mean, crap, it's turf.
Right.
So I don't know. I think it was a poor job in public relations, which is par for the course, as you mentioned, Mo.
Mhm.
But overall, if they use the new Star V as the differentiating factor for athletics, they will be better off. I don't hate it. So that's all I'm going to say. I don't hate it.
There we go.
Let's see what Joe Rexrode has to say on the matter.
Sure,
be
I'll have
join-
plenty.
He'll be joining us on the other side, so stick around on Main Street Sports Today. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Main Street Today with Devin O'Day is your half-hour coffee break featuring lifestyle, inspiration, and entertainment news. Main Street Today airs live weekdays. It's at 11 a.m. Central, or you can catch it on demand on all the Main Street Media social platforms, including highlights on Instagram at Main Street Today Radio. Take your daily coffee break with Devin O'Day on Main Street Today. It's weekdays at 11 a.m. on Main Street Media social platforms.
Welcome back in. It's Main Street Sports Today. Chris Yao alongside Mo Patton when he returns to the studio. JP Plant here as well. And we have with us one of our favorite guests. It is the man, the myth, the legend himself. The Athletics, not Oakland, but the publication. Not JP got us all screwed up earlier.
Yeah, just throwing a wrinkle.
It's okay. Wrinkles are good.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a chance to talk to Joe REXRODE, and I'm sure he has some thoughts on the topic we just discussed, the Vanderbilt logo and its announcement. So, Joe, how are you? How do you feel about the new Vandy logo?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me. I've seen this before. I've never seen anything different. I mean, I remember when, or even if it's not a logo change, it's whenever, like, if a new team introduces its logo or whatever, which I'm reminded of Nashville SC. I feel like it's 95% complaints. I mean, honestly, when I saw it, I was like, okay. I guess like logo and uniform stuff to me always blows me away. Like how emotional people get about it. I mean, I guess I should understand that better, But it's okay. I don't know. I mean, I thought I liked the other one better than this one. But I do totally believe that if this one they just introduced today was the one they had in 08, and they came out today with the one that everyone knows, people would be furious. Mm-hmm. I mean, exactly the same reaction. I totally believe that.
I think maybe if I had a better feel for, fonts and artistic presentations and that kind of thing, I might could speak a little bit better on it. But I mean, I think, Joe, what a lot of folks' reaction is, what was wrong with the old one?
Right.
So
yeah, no, and I get it. Like, why does this need to be done? I know that one thing that they've done here is they had like a different one for the university and athletics, right? So now this is going to be, This is going to be across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Vandy United.
How important is that? With that?
Vandy United. That was the hashtag
Yeah,
Candace Story
you know,
Lee used.
Right. So, I mean, how important is that to have the same logo across everything? I mean, they didn't, you know, like in the release, I didn't see the word branding, but that's what all of this is, you know? I mean, everybody cites McDonald's, going to McDonald's, and all you'll see is, you know, the golden arches. Golden arches everywhere. They can't get out of your brain. You know, it's ingrained in your head. You know, Coca-Cola logo, whatever. Like, branding is so important in sports. So, and I know, again, this is the entire university. So it's like there's some benefit that I think is derived from this. But I understand the uniformity, I guess, of having one logo, but you could also, I mean, you could have just, I guess, I don't know, given the athletics logo to the university and called it a day. You know, I don't know. You know, but I mean, I'm trying to think of like how long is like the Tennessee, you know, current, like the power team and everything like that. Like, how long has that been its logo? Roughly.
Forever.
Has that changed significantly?
80s?
And, you know, like, yeah.
The Power T has been
I mean,
around.
there's something to be said, like,
yeah.
I mean, like, but usually there's different, like, some alterations, right? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, like the Georgia G, like that, to me, that's something like immediately you know what it is,
Mhm.
right? So, you know, there's something to be said for just, hey, I mean, I grew up a Detroit Tigers fan. I mean, if they ever changed from the Old English D, I would be angry, you know? So, I mean, there are some things that seem sacred, but I don't know. I guess this last one was, what, 2008, right? So it's not like this is that long.
Yeah. And if you go back and look at the old logo, I've seen I saw someone post a montage of all of the old Vanderbilt logos, and boy, there are some doozies in there. Let me tell you. So JP mentioned the one with the Vanderbilt with Vanderbilt across it, and then the guy coming out of the middle of the V, the Commodore coming out with the sword. That's terrible.
There was
I got to see that one. I haven't seen that one.
There is a arched script Vandy on a football helmet,
which is awesome.
I
love it. I love cartoonish.
Personally, I
logos.
don't like the use of Vandy. It seems diminutive to me. Little known fact, I never wrote Vandy when I was covering them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
it was
I
just
think
a personal
Vandy,
thing.
I think Vanderbilt people, yeah, they definitely feel that way. They do not like that designation, it seems like.
So, yeah. Anyway, Joe, I don't think this was what we lined you up for, but it was a nice little sideline. How's your bracket?
Oh, it's just so bad. I mean, usually it's pretty bad, really. Like I'm rarely in whatever, like my pools I'm in are like family pools with the kids now and stuff, and the nephews and kids. But I'm usually not very good. But this year, I think I want to say I have a chance to be last. My son was telling me the other day, like, yeah, you have the lowest. I at least have the lowest possible points. Let's see, my final four was Iowa, Tennessee, Kentucky. I think in Baylor. I think that's right. Iowa, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Baylor. I think, or was it Gonzaga? Maybe Gonzaga.
It's probably Gonzaga.
Would that be right? Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay.
Kentucky
okay,
and
so
Baylor had to play each other to get there.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, so it is. So I do have one. I got one. Yeah, it's a complete. I mean, I haven't even looked at it. It's just like as soon as Iowa lost on it, it's like, okay, well, at least I can just not even care, you know, and immediately tell myself, why are you believing in Iowa? And then, of course, Tennessee, which I absolutely bought into this team, and I think they should still be playing. So pretty bad bracket.
You know, Joe, yesterday we had Zach Womble from Main Street Preps on with us and gave him the floor to tell us why Saturday's flame out was another in a chapter of Rick Barnes can't win a big ball game. And please humor Chris and me, excuse me. and tell me this wasn't Rick Barnes'
JP's not
thing.
here.
Well, I mean, you and I were
No, I'm just trying to make sure that you use the correct terminology first.
tell me that this wasn't a Rick Barnes flame out.
Well, I mean, look, I mean, I can't, like, you can't ignore, you know, the pretty large sample size. Not pretty large, it's massive. I mean, Rick Barnes right now is, you know, Rick Barnes is, and again, it's relative to, there are some coaches who aren't as good in the regular season and then they overperform in the postseason. I mean, he's an incredible underperformer in the NCAA tournament. So, I mean, you can't look at this and then just say completely unrelated to the Rick Barnes history.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect, you know, I've never been able to find anyone who can tell me like anything solid, like why that would have happened. I mean, because, you know, this tournament, every year there are teams that should advance or are good enough to advance. It could go deep and they're out right away. But when it happens to you over and over again, you can't ignore it. I will say that just from my seat, I didn't see anything he did, like in terms of in-game decisions, that led to this loss. You know, there was about 2 minutes where you had John Fulkerson in against Hunter Dickinson midway through the second half, and I understand the impulse to try it, but I knew that would never work for them. Like, you know, Fulkerson in the game had to be at the 4 or not play. Or you know, then later in the game they were kind of switching offense for defense with him and Flopsich, but you know they went with him and that didn't work out. But like, if they got shots that you have to love getting and you have to make some, and if you make, honestly, I think they make one of those outside shots at the end, they probably survive, or at least it's like a, you know, one possession to win the game at the end kind of game. I mean, it's, you know, early on, I will say that Michigan took it to them and took it to their defense and had a good plan for them. So I guess you could say, okay, Michigan had the edge early. Maybe they had a better plan than Tennessee early, but Tennessee adjusted, and Tennessee really controlled a lot of that game. And I just can't look at that game and say, man, what a coaching disaster. You gotta be able to step into a shot and make some jump shots. You're gonna play teams that are gonna figure out one way or the other to keep you from just getting layups, which they finally did, and then you got to hit jump shots.
Thank you.
That's all we're saying.
That's all we were saying. If somebody could
There's
show
nothing
us
different.
something that Rick Barnes did or didn't do that resulted in 76-68, then I'm all ears, as Ross Perot would say. But other than that, you know, I get the history. I get that his teams have underperformed, but I don't know that his team's underperforming means he has underperformed. Who was it that said you are what your record says? You are what your record is. But I mean, I get all that, but I just don't see how this is a Rick Barnes loss as much as it is a Tennessee loss, if that makes sense.
No, I agree. I do. I mean, the one thing that I took kind of from this, and really the impulse, the idea here for me actually hit in Tampa the previous weekend because of just the reaction to him after they won it all, and just talking to some of those guys. I can't tell you with certainty that 100% across the roster, every single guy loves Rick Barnes. But I can tell you with certainty, Josiah James, absolutely. And Santiago Vescovi, absolutely. Fulkerson, you know, some of those older guys in particular. I think Kenny Chandler really appreciated how he coached him this year because, you know, you guys know how it is. I mean, I always responded better to coaches who were tougher on me. And I think Rick Barnes strikes a great balance of, I mean, he is demanding and he is critical and he's honest, always honest. And kids appreciate that. They want that. And I think they love the guy. And I think that their primary motivation, at least for some of them, was to shut all of this up. And I think that can be counterproductive. And that's just me hypothesizing. That's just me kind of reading the room a little bit and seeing how it all turned out. But I do feel like this has become such a thing. Whether anybody can claim to cut themselves off from conversation, from social media and talk radio and whatever else, but people know what people are saying about them. Rick Barnes knows, and I think that whole program was very determined this year to change that, and now they haven't, of course, and in fact, just perpetuated it, and it's tough because, especially you look at Kenny Chandler and how he was playing. I mean, he was to me going on his way to being one of the stories of the tournament, and possibly really doing something special.
Joe Rexrode of The Athletic with us here on Main Street Sports today. Joe, we're down to 16 teams. Who's your national champion now?
I mean, it's got to be St. Peter's, right? I mean, who the heck else could have
Let's go Peacocks
all the way.
I mean, if you're not picking the Peacocks, I really don't know what you're doing here. So
I'll tell you, I mean, because obviously they were in Indy, and so I got a front row seat, and I'm sitting there with Kyle Tucker, my coworker. They're like, the Murray State, look, incredible. Like, sometimes these nights happen in the NCAA tournament, like the night against Kentucky. It's just like, how? But it happens. I mean, you knew every time they got a shot off, oh my gosh, that's going in. And somehow someone gets a rebound over Oscar Sheboy. I mean, those nights happen, but I still was like, now Murray State's going to just pound these guys, because Murray State is so good. Murray State is so good. Murray State could have been a Final Four team, but we're sitting there like, look at how they're in the gaps. Look at how they're doing everything right. Look at them box out and look at the screens. Like, they're just so well coached and solid. And the collective, the way they play elevates the talent level. And then you got the dude with the mustache who's just a freak. So it's something else, man.
I mean,
Doug Eder, you gotta love him.
In all reality, this bracket is up for grabs. I mean, North Carolina, who's been playing great lately, by the way, fantastic. But UCLA and Purdue, I mean, yeah, Purdue is still really good. But this bracket, any of those three teams, North Carolina, UCLA, Purdue, I mean, we don't really think St. Peter's is going to go to the Final Four, but any of the other three absolutely could. So who knows?
Yeah. No, for sure. And I mean, the teams I like, I really do think that this Purdue team could be special. I've thought that all year. Look, talk about a program. I mean, Purdue hasn't been to the Final Four since like before I paid attention. And so that is that's Joe Barry Carroll. Okay. And that's, if Purdue's history, like they have been, as a regular season team, as good as any in the Big Ten over that time. They've been way better than Indiana. I mean, and they have not been to a single Final Four. And 3 years ago they had it and they blew it somehow against Virginia. But maybe this is the year for them. I also think, I know everybody's been down on Duke, but I mean, they are, they are, obviously you got the storyline, but when they want to play, they are loaded.
Yes, they are. Joe Rexrode of The Athletic, thanks so much, man. We appreciate your time as always.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
When we come back, the biggest what ifs in sports history, our top 5 coming at you on Main Street Sports today. Stick around.
Hey folks,
While we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
What if Vandy hadn't changed their logo? We wouldn't have had a segment for today.
Too soon. Too soon.
Vanderbilt with a 13-4 win over Belmont today.
There you go.
In
at
front of
First
no one,
Horizon,
right?
in front of no fans, which JP and I think the reasoning is because they were unable to change the workers.
And that makes sense.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Can't
at
service the
first-
fans.
At first, I was upset, but then I was like, well, they probably couldn't get anybody
staff,
to
yeah.
get there.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that makes sense. It is what it is. So, Vanderbilt with the win, 13-4 over Belmont. Anyway, let's talk about the biggest what ifs in sports history. On Top 5 Tuesday, brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness. Top 5, Mid-South 5. It's,
Simpatico.
exactly. I like it. Picasso.
Simpatico.
There's
Dallas-
synergy there.
Yes, Thal
Yes.
is still in the gang at Mid-South 5 Fitness. They've got two great locations, one here in Columbia, one in Franklin, and they do a fantastic job. Visit steelathletes.com. That's STEEL athletes.com or STEEL athletes on Instagram. Follow them today. Let's get into it. I've got an honorable mention, but I'll wait till the end because I think it could possibly be on somebody's list. So JP says he doesn't have a list, but he would like to chime in on this.
I'll be the peanut gallery.
He'll be the the two old guys in
Mhm.
Muppets.
Muppets. Yeah.
That's him. All right, number 5. Mo, you want to go first? I'll go first. Doesn't matter.
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I don't know that mine are in any certain order necessarily, but as we were talking to Chip Walters and talking about the Blue Raiders having their first opportunity for a national tournament championship at any of any sort, what if Kermit Davis doesn't go to Ole Miss coming off those back-to-back lower seed upsets?
Yeah. I think MTSU probably is in a better position than they are today, but I think that they are getting to that position. I think they're going to have to stick with McDevitt for a while.
Now, you kind of feel like if he hadn't left when he did leave, he would have left at some point. But, I mean, what if he just
Never
stays?
does. Yeah. What if he stays?
Yeah.
Wichita State comes to mind. Well,
Greg
Yeah.
Marshall?
not necessarily the coach, but the type of program.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Basketball wise,
Well, Gonzaga.
I don't know if that's a whole nother level, but
Yeah.
But yeah, Wichita State is a great example
they
of,
made to a Final Four.
of sticking with that program
Coach
and
and
taking
staying,
it
yep.
to a level it had never been before and
Yep.
would never.
And may never get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good one.
That is a good one. I like that.
My number 5 has so many domino effects. And I can't believe it's number 5. But what if Drew Brees passes the Dolphins physical?
Then Nick Saban doesn't leave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or at least not at that time.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
anyway.
you could have potentially affect two major athletic organizations.
Absolutely.
NFL and college football.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both could have been altered forever.
drastically.
Drew may not have become the most prolific or second most
go.
prolific passer in history.
Because you don't know what Nick Saban would have done
That's right.
with a guy like Drew.
You don't know.
Brees.
He found a perfect fit in New Orleans with Sean and, as you talked about, obviously Saban in Alabama. So, I mean, that's two big dominoes. Historically big Mount Rushmore size dominoes.
Yeah, no
That's
doubt.
a good one. That is number 5. Wow.
Yeah, no.
I'm intrigued.
Number 4.
What if Jim Leyritz had never been born?
the Braves would have 3 world championships.
Jim effing Leyritz.
Exactly. That guy.
Oh.
I saw someone that had a what if Bartman had let the foul ball go.
Oh man.
And I mean, who knows? But yeah, Jim Leyritz, that guy can kick rocks.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying. My number 4 is what if the USFL's lawsuit actually works? Because
the one current one or the one back in
the one back in
the original?
the Trump lawsuit.
The Trump
no,
lawsuit.
No, worked. Not one. What if it worked? Because what the goal was completely different from, what happened. They didn't want to win the lawsuit. They wanted the NFL to settle by merging. What happens if, Trump's an owner in the NFL?
How many teams were in that USFL?
Talk about
dominoes. This is number 4, by the way, of my list.
Man, we're going into overtime for this today.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
How many teams, Chris, were in the USFL that year?
8.
I believe there were. No,
Was
I
it
think
8 or
there were
10?
12.
Was it 12?
Well, I'll tell you what.
And how many NFL teams did we have then?
24? 20.
No, there was more than that.
More than that? 28?
Everybody
28,
but
except
the
Carolina-
Jags and
Yeah,
the Panthers.
I don't
Well,
think
and the
every.
Texans.
I don't think every team would have
No.
merged, but I mean, you never really know.
Yeah.
There were 12 USFL teams
Oh, wow.
that year.
Okay.
So who knows? Anyway, number 4.
Number 3, and JP will appreciate this one. What if the officials in that 2007 Sweet 16 game had called the walk on Jeff Green?
The thing about that is, it doesn't necessarily change the impact of the next game, but it certainly
puts Vanderbilt in an Elite 8
Right,
game
sure.
that they had not been in since like 1965.
Not in the modern
I think.
NCAA tournament. Yeah.
Sure.
It was
So
a field of 16 back then, I think, wasn't it, Mo?
I don't know if it was 16, but it definitely wasn't 64.
May have been 32.
It might have been
but-
32.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Same thing with Auburn. What if they actually called Virginia for anything in the last 5 seconds of that game?
Oh, good Lord. Yeah. Okay. There's my number 3.
Number 3, you might have actually gotten to cover him if he had. What if Jordan stuck with baseball?
The Bulls don't win that second set of 3.
Yeah,
They
obviously.
They obviously don't win the second set of 3. The Knicks might actually have a championship.
Indiana might have a championship.
Indiana might,
And Reggie Miller. Yeah.
but Michael could have been a pro baseball player. I certainly think he was headed that direction.
You think so?
Oh yeah. The dude hadn't
They
picked
can't
up a
deny
bat.
him.
The dude hadn't picked up a bat in 15 years, and he goes out and hits 203 at the AA level. Defensively, he was as good as anybody.
Oh, yeah. He was fine defensively. I mean, but as long as when they start throwing the breaking stuff, that kind of separates the men from the boys at any level.
Sure, it does.
Certainly at that level.
Well,
But you never know.
The organization, you have to bring him up if he stays with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, why have him?
Yeah. So
I mean,
if he spends that
It's,
next
it's
year,
still a business.
well, he spends that next year in Nashville, then yeah, gets interesting.
That could have, definitely altered your career, Mo.
It probably alters the discussion that we have every single day on the Facebook about who the GOAT is.
Yeah,
that's true.
Because I think his last 3 years
Cemented that.
are really what cemented it.
That's a good point.
Number two.
What if Drew Bledsoe doesn't get hurt?
That's my number two. It alters the NFL. Peyton Manning has 4 rings, probably.
You would think at some point Brady would have come out somewhere, would have gotten a chance,
Where?
right? I don't know,
When?
but I mean,
How? He was a 7th round pick or sixth round pick.
He was the backup though.
So
no, but backups have a chance.
Well, he was the backup, but Drew Bledsoe was clearly.
Oh, he was $100 million man.
Yeah. So
which is
first $100 million guy in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken.
So why would he?
So
have it ever?
how?
Well, I'm saying he was competitive enough to be the backup to Drew Bledsoe. Point being is that at some point you're going to get an opportunity to come in. Somebody's going to get hurt. Maybe not that team, but that's what I'm saying. At some point,
why would somebody go get Tom Brady as the backup of the New England Patriots, who are just so anyway? They're not great.
They were
at that time.
Well, when he came in, they were that year. They went to the Super Bowl.
They went to the Super Bowl with Tom Brady.
I know, but they got into a position to get in the Super Bowl because of Bledsoe. But so I'm saying he was competitive enough to be the backup of an NFL team.
Mm-hmm.
I think that says something.
Sure.
And I think if you're good enough to be a backup consistently, at some point you're going to get that opportunity.
So Logan Woodside is just waiting for his turn. I don't
like Jordan Love. I don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway,
number 1.
2 words.
Mm-hmm.
Bo Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we were going to establish that as the gold standard, but apparently not. So yeah, Bo Jackson.
My honorable mention is Fulmer doesn't get fired in 08.
He gets fired in 09.
Okay,
come on.
Okay, but
yeah.
All right, ball fan.
Okay, but even if he does get fired in 09, you don't go through the Lane Kiffin situation.
You just delay it a year.
I will stand on a table and tell you that Lane Kiffin isn't what created everything after. Derek Dooley is what created everything after.
Well, the administration that brought in Dooley, yeah.
So Derek Dooley was getting the job in 10 no matter what.
I just don't think Kiffin, maybe the way Kiffin left, but Lane Kiffin as the coach at the University of Tennessee wasn't an issue.
No, I agree. Yeah, I would have loved to have had him for the last 12 years.
Yeah.
Or 14 years, however long he's been gone. I would have loved to. I'm saying if they stick with Fulmer until he calls it quits, how different is things?
He'd still be coaching. He'd still be coaching.
Because I don't know that he would ever call it quits.
He never would have called it quits.
Okay. The dude had one losing season in 17 years. One. And they fired him.
How old were you in 08?
24.
Recruiting was not going in a good direction.
They were going down a bad path.
It wasn't going in a good direction. I'm just saying, I think it would have eventually changed. I think Fulmer got complacent, and the Nick Saban situation probably fires him up to get back into things that he was doing beforehand.
I don't think he would have had the energy to do that. I think that's part of the problem.
I don't know. Maybe.
I think he lost his mojo. Lost his mojo.
Yep.
He got complacent, lost his mojo, and you can't get that stuff back.
Well, I think 2001 and 2004 probably had a lot more to do with that than anything, because it's like, crap, what do I have to do? Or was it 05?
All of the above.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even beat the backup. I can't beat Matt Malk. Kidding me? To go to a national championship?
I knew they weren't going to win that game when they.
As soon as Davey went out, it was just like.
Well, and as soon as the week before, because that's the year they beat Florida at the end of the season, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and they put where were they? They would have gone to the Rose Bowl for the BCS championship.
It was, national championship was on the line.
In Gainesville, after the game, they all had roses in the locker room and in their teeth, and they were, we're going to the Rose Bowl, because all they had to do was beat lowly LSU. They completely overlooked. Yeah, they completely overlooked LSU.
And then Rohan Davey goes out, and you're like, oh, we're definitely winning this game now. They got no chance. Oh, just kidding, Matt Malk. Anyway.
Matty.
What if Matt Malk doesn't beat Tennessee in 2001 and they go to the national championship game? They probably get their eyeballs beat in by Miami like everybody else did. But anyway, overtime.
They got their hit on Miami, though.
If you'd like to sponsor overtime segments, feel free to give us a shout.
Had 8 good minutes today.
We did. Top 5 Tuesday brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness, and we appreciate you guys hanging out with us as always. Anchor down with the V, with the new V.
Yeah, anchor down.
This, to me, is just Ninja Turtles eating pizza. So that's how I used to eat pizza when I was a kid. 3 fingers.
All right, Vol fanboy. Go throw your orange back on.
He doesn't want to go there, does he? I mean, I give him crap all the time for this Vandy stuff, but I mean, I can ramp it up if necessary.
Let's keep it simple. We're all friends here.
Tennessee think they've had baseball now, so they're all high and mighty. We're in the spring season.
We're all friends here.
Yeah.
We'll be back tomorrow at 2:00 with Heather
Williams talking NASCAR and former VFL. Well, I don't guess you are a former VFL. You're a VFL. Troy Fleming will be with us to talk about a football camp that he'll be a part of this weekend at his high school alma mater, Battleground Academy. So
it's the wrong Fleming for me. It's okay. We'll take Troy. Troy's great.
Yeah.
All right, and stay with us throughout this week. We've got a lot going on, so it should be a great week, especially with our guests. So come back tomorrow at 2:00 here on Main Street Sports Today for JP and Mo. I'm Chris Yousing. Have a great day. See you then.